Okay, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome back to our regular Friday talk, and today's topic is about Islamic finance. Now, I would like to pitch this topic in the context of global Islamic economy, because Islamic finance is just one of the sectors of total about 7 sectors within Islamic economy, and it is a global. Sometimes they call it halal economy because it is based on halal principles. So this is what I prepare, but I don't think I can cover this within 1 hour. But I'll go slowly, whatever that we can cover today. If it is needed, we'll continue it next Friday, inshallah, if there is interest to this material, inshallah. So I will touch a little bit about Islamic economic principles, and then we'll talk about Islamic finance. As an alternative to riba or interest, Islamic finance has developed Islamic contracts, and these contracts are used again in Islamic banking, in Islamic investment like sukuk or bonds, Islamic bonds, and also they're used in Islamic insurance, takaful. So these topics will be connected and they can have a smooth flow, inshallah. Okay, so first of all, I want to look at the global halal economy or global Islamic economy, just to give you a feel of what are we talking about. So Muslim worldwide were united by our religious beliefs or values and practices. And for most of Muslims, these, our beliefs and our practices, they shape our consumption habits, across multiple economic sectors. Collectively, at a global level, the Islamic economy or the halal economy is valued at around 2.43 trillion. This is the latest report that was just launched 2 weeks ago. And it covers a wide range of products and services. So we're talking about quite a huge economy. And it is projected that this consumer spending will reach 3.36 trillion by 2028. Many of the Muslim countries have a very young population, and therefore this is fueling growth, because many of them, they will go through important milestone of their lives, finishing school, going to college, taking jobs, getting married, making families, and all of that. So there's a huge potential in this area. And further, this is only on the consumption side. But if you look at the Islamic financial asset, these are the assets that are in Islamic financial institutions like Islamic banks and Islamic investment houses and insurance and all of that. If you combine those values, they are around 4.93 trillion. So actually, we're talking about Islamic economy estimated to be very impressive figure, $7.36 trillion. And it is projected to reach 8.2 trillion by 2028. So really, I think we need to be very serious, Muslims. Now, we can, many Muslim countries, looking at what is going on in Gaza today, they may feel helpless in terms of, their government is going in one direction and the people have have a different, they go different direction. With respect to Gaza, with respect to support for Zionism and all of that. But if you look at, we are empowered as Muslims, as individuals, irrespective of our governments. We are empowered if we look at, this kind of financial muscle that we have. We can change the direction of geopolitics in the world. If we look at the indicators of who are leading Islamic economy today, Malaysia is leading, and followed by Saudi Arabia and Indonesia, and Oman is came very late in Islamic finance, Islamic banking, and Oman is number 11, but it is growing as well. And you'll see a country like United Kingdom, which is not a Muslim majority country, but they see the potential of Islamic economy. It's not only their activities are serving Muslims who live in the United Kingdom, but there are a lot of non-Muslims who buy into this idea of halal economy. All of these countries, this is in general, this is, just a general indexes, but because we have different sectors, so we can look into these countries, where do they lead different sectors. So if we look at the Islamic finance, this is the largest sector among seven sectors. This is the largest, and also it has a big potential growth, almost like 9 to 10% cumulative growth. And when it comes to Islamic finance, Iran is leading, followed by Saudi Arabia and Malaysia. And as you can see on the left, you have the figures that is current, because the report that we have is based on 2023 figures, and which is that is in in billions. And what you see on the right, this is what is projected 2028, which is just around the corner. There is a global dynamic growth when it comes to Islamic finance. So in the past decade, we see this significant growth in different regions: West Asia, what we call Middle East, Southeast Asia, and South Asia. But not only that, Islamic finance is also gaining a lot of interest in the West, in the US, in Europe, in Australia, in New Zealand. They see a lot of opportunity in this area. Again, not only for the people who live there, Muslims who live there, but there are a lot of non-Muslims who care about ethics, about values, and therefore there are a lot of people who start consuming products and services of Islamic finance. Even in Africa, there's a lot of interest in African regions. And this sector of Islamic finance is evolving with a lot of digital financial products and services, or what is called fintech. Fintech is a topic by itself. There's a lot of very innovative ideas as an alternative to these Western, interest-based programs. So there are a lot of things going on. I just read about a couple of months ago, here in Oman, there is a group of young people who have just set up a platform where you can get what is called crowdfunding. So if you have your project, you register in their platform, and it's all electronic, and they can raise money for you, and you don't have to go to one source like a bank and ask for a lot of money. So let's say your project requires like 20,000 riyals. the crowdfunding, it gives opportunity individual to chip in very small amount, maybe 5 riyals, 10 riyals, 20 riyals, but cumulatively in a big crowd, you can actually raise 20,000 very easily. So there's a lot of area, in this, using a sort of intersection between finance and technology, using apps, using platforms, different kind of, and they're all Sharia compliant, even using AI. So I tried one platform in the UK, no, in the US, where they use AI completely to help you to do investment, uh, and remain within Sharia compliance. So because uh, they have the regime or protocols that keeps the investment within Sharia. This is the trends of Islamic finance worldwide. So, you're talking about growth of cumulative growth of 10%, which is quite good, and it's keep going. The other very important sector in Islamic economy is halal food, and halal food is also growing. Indonesia is leading, and Bangladesh, Egypt, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia. Okay, these are the leading countries, as you can see. And this is also another area that is growing immensely, because people always will need to eat, and more people, they are more conscious about halal food. Even in the West, they think halal food is health-wise is much better, as people, they come to understand what it means to halal food. This is another area that is growing, modesty, fashion, and Iran and Turkey is leading, and there are many other countries, even non-Muslim countries, non-Muslim majority countries that get into this. They get into this because it is an opportunity to export modesty fashion to Muslim world, but also there are a lot of other people who are buying into this idea of modesty dressing. Media and recreation, this is a huge thing as well, especially, things related to entertainment, and a lot of it relating to social media and technology. Turkey is leading in this area. Content that is more acceptable to Islamic audience, and things like that. We also have Muslim-friendly travel, and there is a huge, this is probably the biggest growth. People, more and more people, they're looking for value when traveling. They are more interested in exploring nature, culture, and things like that. Saudi Arabia seems to be leading here. Probably it's also related to the Hajj and Umrah movement. But Malaysia, UAE, especially Dubai, Qatar, and others. Russia now is becoming a very important destination. Indonesia, and others. Also, people are becoming more conscious about what are the ingredients that are used in pharmaceuticals, because there are a lot of, in the past, forbidden non-halal substances that were used in medicine. And of course, the people, when it comes to medicine, it's considered a darura, and the religion allows you to, in the case of darura, to to use something that is non-halal. So non-halal, haram becomes halal when there is darura, and as long as the darura still is there, it exists. But people now, they're looking for alternative as well. Why should we use this, these ingredients, this material? So there's a lot of research, and there's a lot of alternative to medicine that is more halal. Turkey, Saudi Arabia is leading. USA, they do quite a lot of work in that area. Indonesia and other countries. And the last one is cosmetic. Also in cosmetic, there's a lot of non-halal material that are used in cosmetic. And there's more conscious now, and we can see who is leading in this area. Okay, if we look at the Islamic economy in Oman, for example, Islamic banking assets, they have reached a level where they contribute, I think by now, because these are statistics of 2023, I think by now almost like 20%, of the finance and banking in Oman is Islamic. We were the late comers when it comes to Islamic banking and finance, but it's growing. I think the sector has grown consistently, over the last 10, 12 years. Oman witnessed significant growth in halal food industry as well, and the government has many initiatives to strengthen Islamic finance and also, halal food industry, to support halal certification for food and for pharmaceutical sectors as well. And Oman also is promoted as a destination for halal tourism, and especially because of its rich cultural heritage, its natural beauty, and Omani exhibit a lot of Islamic values. Okay, so that's really, gives you a bird's eye view of the global Islamic economy, or the global halal economy, because Islamic finance, it is within that context. So many of these sectors that we have just enumerated, they share common principles, Islamic economic principles. So I'll just go over quickly, and I'm not gonna go very deep into the the Sharia, the jurisprudence aspect of it, because I'm more interested to show you what is available. So just in a nutshell, the Islamic economic system, it follows a religious worldview, because other economic system, they follow materialistic worldview. There is no in the other economic system, like the capitalist system that is followed by most of the countries in the world, or the market economy, as they call it, is based on materialistic worldview. So there's no reference to religion. You just need to maximize wealth, you maximize profit, you maximize economic growth. Those are the goals, and it doesn't matter, how the wealth is distributed. There's a big gap between those rich people and middle class, if there is any middle class, and the people who are on the end of the rope. If you look at Western major economies, like let's say US, you have few names that are very known to everyone, who owns billions, like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and others. So there's a very small percentage that hold wealth, equivalent to the wealth of the rest 80% of the population. So that's a different kind of thinking. The Islamic economic system is not thinking like that. So there's a lot of emphasis, or it combines, you can say, the ideas of market economy, but also with ethical principles and social welfare within economic activities. So the Islamic economic system is guided by Sharia, or Islamic law, and the Islamic law prohibits interest or riba. Also, it prohibits speculation or very excessive uncertainty in economic transaction, which in the Quranic language is gharar, and also maisir, any transaction that has a resemblance of gambling. And of course, non-halal activities. So these are the things across the board. So they apply to all the sectors. But in addition to that, Islamic economic system is also promotes risk sharing through profit and loss sharing instead of this fixed interest, or instead of shifting risk to someone else. Many of the banks, the conventional banks, actually they just shift risk to someone else. This is the way they manage risk. But in Islamic economic system, throughout, the risk is shared. And then you have the social welfare through zakat, obligatory charity, and the sadaqat, which is a deliberate charity for wealth distribution. So zakat, it allows to redistribute the wealth so that you don't have people within the economy who have been left behind. And then so there shouldn't be in Islamic economic system people like homeless, for example. It's quite common, and it is very heartbreaking when you travel to very advanced economy and you can visit sometimes these wealthy cities, but they are just in the backyard. You'll find a lot of homeless people that don't have a place even to sleep. And there are many and many. If you look at all these economies, like American economy, British as well, despite, they spend a lot of money in waging wars and destruction, supporting Zionism and all of that. But if you look at the condition of their people now, how they struggle in life is amazing. So also ethical, Islamic economic system promote ethical, just, adil or adala ijtimaiya, and fair practices in all economic transaction. The Islamic economy, it is the worldview, the Islamic economic worldview is looking at things differently from the conventional economic system, especially when it comes to human needs and this idea of scarcity of resources. So conventional economics, they teach that resources are scarce, they're limited, but human ones are unlimited. And that's why we have this idea of economics. Economics is basically a study of how society makes decisions given limited resources, how they can satisfy their unlimited wants. But Islam rejects this secular idea and teaches that God's resources are abundant, not limited, not strictly limited. Kunuzullah, yani unlimited. And the Quran says God's gifts are plentiful and we must use them carefully so that we do not waste or harm the environment. But we can always search for these gifts that Allah has given us. And the Quran also teaches that to seek God's bounties, actively is both a duty and a blessing. So when you finish prayers, just go out to look for God's bounty. There's a lot of emphasis of this. So Islam recognizes that people often want more and more material wealth, but their true needs are not endless. So this is where the Islamic worldview differ from the Western worldview. And you can capture this in the prophetic hadith that says, if a son of Adam had a valley full of gold, he will wish he had two valleys. Nothing fills his mouth except dust, and Allah forgives whoever repents to him. So this is an answer to this idea that our wants are unlimited. It's not because our real needs are unlimited, but it's just because of our greed, or the human greed. This is part of the human nature. So also, Islam emphasizes that, while using this world's goods, we have to think about the hereafter, because our life is not only this life. So most of the conventional economic system is based on the idea that, this is life, and you have to get the best from this life, all right? There's nothing beyond. But for us, so your economic decisions are not made only in consideration of this life, but you have to make in consideration of next life as well. The other major difference in terms of the conventional economic worldview and Islamic economic worldview is this view of money, because money in Islam, it serves as a unit of account, as a medium of exchange, and a store of value, period. Money is not a commodity. Therefore, it cannot be bought and sold with the intention to make profit. Money cannot be used to make money without mixing it with labor or business activities. And that's why these loans are forbidden in Islam, these loans, because you are making money, from money. You are not mixing up with any labor or business activities. So anything that, money to produce profit without mixing it with labor or business activity is forbidden in Islam. So the Islamic economic system replaces interest with alternative Islamic contract that we will be looking into today, that provides income as profits, through trade or through partnership, or wages through labor, or rent through ijara, or commission through brokerage, if you can add value. Because even brokerage, if you are sitting in the middle of a transaction and you don't add any value, you're just making profit out of it, that would be considered as a riba as well, forbidden. So also, Islamic economic system, it view people, and our economic decision is part of the test, because Allah has put us here to test us in this life. Our existence, our world existence, it is meant to be a test to prepare us for the next life. And therefore, among the things that will be tested is the economic choices that we make. So Allah has given us freedom and has provided us to make those choices, and has provided us with the provision, His bounties, to succeed in this life and the next. So part of this test is to manage our wealth by following the rules, because Quran and the Sunnah is our guidance, and the Quran tells us there is no riba, there should be no gharar, there should be no maisir, and you should only deal with a halal transaction. So this is a test for most of the people, and how they view this and how they argue about this, how they brush off sometimes these ideas and, make make justification to themselves and to their ego. And those who make the choices and who are worried, who are asking, who are making sure, every transaction, if they're not sure, they will ask the people who know, right? So this is part of the test. So the Islamic system keeps also private, which is individual, and public, which is community interests, separate to protect everyone's right. In a conventional system, sometimes there isn't this separation. There are a lot of people in decision making who are making who are benefiting and making use of a public interest to their personal interest, and vice versa. So Islam is very clear about that, and it views, as I said, the life as a two stage: this world and the hereafter. So all economic rules, in the Quran and in the Sunnah, uh, is aimed for our well-being in both worlds. And therefore, our economic decisions should not be only for this world. It should be also for the next world. So the type of earning we already mentioned within Islamic economic system. These are the permitted earnings, wages, pay for work or service, rent, income from letting someone use a property, and the profits. This is the share of business earning, whether in trade, because some of the Islamic contracts are more based on in trade, as a trade, and others in partnership. And in both cases, is a business earning, meaning reward of effort and risk. So in the business, you put the effort, but you also take risk. All right, in trade, the same. All right, and Allah wants you to get reward for putting the effort and for taking risk. And then commission, we said fees for completing a specific task, like the brokerage. People who are doing brokerage, but where the broker has to add value to the deal. And of course, the prohibited earnings, these are riba. And in the English language, they use these two terms, interest and usury. And the usury, this term came from Europe, especially from England, to differentiate interest as an excessive interest. All right, excessive interest. So in the Western the Christian theology, because it came from Judeo-Christian theology. So they tolerate interest, but they talk about what is not permissible is excessive interest. But in Islam, we look at it the same, because whether less interest or more interest, it's all riba. So these are earning from loans without business activity or risk, and it leads to unfair wealth gain. So Islam has also put rules for trading. So one of the important rules is you must own an item before selling it. I've seen a lot of people today, they will open Instagram account, and they will bring products from China, from other places, and sell, but they will not bring the product first. They will put the pictures in the Instagram and then the prices and all of that, and then they will collect the money. They will get a confirmed order first, and then they take the money and they buy from China, and then they bring it. That is something not acceptable in Islam, because maybe you can take an order, but you cannot take the money before actually you are owning it. So you must own an item before selling it. Now, exception has been made for two types of Islamic contracts. One is Bay Salam. We'll talk about it, Bay Salam. And this was allowed through hadith of the Prophet, very much related to agricultural product. And the reason the Prophet allowed it because he wanted the Muzari'in to be able to have the resources to cultivate the products before, otherwise there would be food shortages. So the Prophet has allowed it because he saw maslaha, and he made this exception. And in the modern world, where you have all kind of industries and construction and all of that, scholars, they have used through ijtihad, allowed another contract, which is similar to Bay Salam, but this is focused on manufacturing and construction, which is called istisna. So these are two kind of contracts that are allowed to sell something that you still don't own it. Only lawful goods and services may be traded or invested in. All right, so all non-halal economic activities and transactions are forbidden. So non-halal is not only a product; it could be non-halal transaction. All right, and in both cases, these are forbidden. Also, idea of price fixing, hoarding essentials in order to raise the price, and any form of market manipulation are forbidden. These things seems to be very common in the conventional economy, and some people, they feel it's okay. They practice this. This is a way to strategies for making money and for marketing products and services and all of that. But actually, we need to be careful because these things are not allowed in Islam. Price fixing is only allowed if there is maslaha, and we could go in a little bit more elaboration of that afterwards. Also, any kind of fraud, any kind of deception, any kind of exploitation in buying or selling are strictly prohibited within Islamic economic system. And all forms of dishonesty, all form of market interference with prices or trades are forbidden. That's why I mentioned about brokerage, because with brokerage, you kind of interfere in between seller and the buyer. You come like a middleman, so you kind of interfering this process, and you can only do that if you add value, because trade today is a bit complex. It requires distributors, it requires importing and all of that. So there is a room for halal brokerage. All right, but sometimes you have in the real estate where someone comes in, adds no value, a chain of, brokers benefiting from a transaction without adding any value. That is something not allowed. So when it comes to riba in Islam, there are two kinds of riba. There's a riba al-nasiya and a riba al-fadl. So riba al-nasiya is the one related to interest charge on money lent. This is an extra payment for delaying repayment, and this is what is commonly people they know, and this is what has been forbidden in the Quran. So when the Quran speaks about riba, actually is referring to riba al-nasiya. But there is also another riba that has been forbidden through the Sunnah, through the prophetic teaching, through Hadith, which is an unequal exchange of goods, trading the same item in unequal amount. So, for example, if you exchange ratab, khnezi, 10 kilos of khnezi, and 15 kilos of something else, any other brand, Kashbesha or Kashtabak or whatever other brands. That is not allowed in Islam because these are similar items. They have to be exchanged in equal amount, right? And therefore, if you say mine is a better quality, uh, Islam will ask you to actually sell it and exchange it with money, and then you take the money and you buy the other one, all right, rather than exchange among yourself. So if you think you have, fard and khnezi, these are two different qualities, and you want the one that you think is better, you want to have a little bit more of that, of the other one, it's not allowed in Islam. Okay, it may appear to be trivial, but it is a riba in Islam, and we have hadith on that. So riba al-nasiya happens when payment is delayed and the extra amount is added, and this is the most common one, as I said, in the Quran, and this is what has always existed even pre-Islamic Jahiliyyah time, as opposed to riba al-fadl, and this applies to only to immediate exchange of physical items. If it is delayed or credit base increase, it will be riba al-nasiya, it will not be riba al-fadl. And the reference for this is this hadith that says, gold for gold, silver for silver, wheat for wheat, barley for barley, dates for dates, salt for salt. Exchange them equal for equal. And if you give more or take more, you are engaging in riba. So this is the hadith that differentiates. So it's good to know the difference. There's a lot of people who, who argue, the bay and riba as if it is the same. There is a difference, and the Quran is very explicit on this. There's a verse that it says, Allah has made trade halal, bay halal, and He made riba haram. So the difference between bay and riba is in bay, there is a value is created through effort, like manufacturing, marketing, distribution. So both buyer and seller benefit. The buyer acquires a useful good or service, and the seller earns a fair profit. And there are a lot of economic activity that is created for others to benefit. You've got to labor, people working and earning out of it. As opposed to riba, it adds no value. This is a profit that is guaranteed without work or value addition. Only the lender gains while the borrower pays extra and bear all the risk. All right, so that's a major difference between the two. Okay, so now we come to Islamic finance. So mashallah, time has just flown there. So the financial system, any financial system, whether Islamic or conventional, it operates under the principle that there are two main groups within the economy. One group has financial resources and wants to earn income from those resources. And another group needs funding or financing for various economic activities and purposes. So people, they want, whether for personal reason, they want to buy a car, they want to buy furniture, they want to get married, they want to, or for business purpose, they have a project, they want to, to implement, they want to start a business, they have a business, they want to expand their business, all right? So this is a group that really need funding, as opposed to the group that have the financial resources and they want to earn income out of it, all right? So the financial resources, we can call them as capital. So there are people with capital and they want to invest, and there are people without capital, they want to borrow. So this is how conventional finance is done. You have those with capital and they want to invest to earn income, and those without capital, they want to borrow. Okay, so the conventional finance, All right. What they offer is they offer loans with interest. That's it. They give you loan with interest. So this is a riba. All right. Now, in the context where interest is not allowed, as in Islamic finance, there has to be alternative methods of financing, all right, that are Sharia compliant. And we have, I just group them into these two modes or two categories. So one is indirect mode of financing. Sometimes it is referred as debt-based financing, where the bank purchases assets or goods that are needed by the borrower. So they don't give you money, they don't give you cash. All right, they ask you, what do you want, this money for? So, and then they buy the thing that you want, and then they sell or lease to the borrower at a profit or rent. So basically what they do, they convert asset or good into a debt. So you get to pay in installment because that's what you want, because you don't have the cash to actually go and buy it by yourself, But the bank is allowed to put profit, all right, because they're involved in trading. And then there is a direct mode of financing, also is referred to equity-based financing, where the bank actually invests money into a partnership. So you want to open a business, a bank will actually partner with you and earns profit as a return. So basically, the bank takes a stake, of the business, or equity. That's what it means, equity of the business. So in Islamic finance, the picture looks like this. So you still have those with capital and they want to invest, and those without capital and want to borrow. So Islamic finance, it gives you these two options, the indirect mode, and they have these different contracts. So we have murabaha, bay salam, istisna, and ijara, as far as indirect mode is concerned. And in the direct mode, we have musharaka and mudaraba. Okay, so these are contracts that will be going through as an alternative to the conventional finance based on interest. Okay, so we start with the indirect mode or equity-based financing, and when the time comes, I will stop and we'll continue this next week, inshallah, if you think you are interested in this material. So we look into murabaha finance. So murabaha is a cost plus sale, is a cost plus the margin, so it's just a sale where you'll be selling something that you have bought it and you have added margin profit, where the seller discloses the purchase price and agree the profit margin with immediate delivery. So these are the condition. You have the price, the cost, and then you add the profit, and you disclose, very transparent, what was the purchase price, what was the profit margin, and the delivery had to be immediate. So this is widely used by Islamic banks to finance assets. Example, if you want to buy a car, if you want to buy equipment, even if you want to buy a house, if a small apartment with a low value, there are many banks that they will give you under murabaha. If you want to buy furniture, if you want to buy home appliances, anything, that is, that has they call it durable goods, durable goods, things that are durable. You can't use this to buy grocery. You can't use murabaha to buy grocery. It's not, is not what it's meant. Okay, it's meant for durable goods. So the profit is fixed and is non-compounding. So because this is a sell, this is a trade. Once you close the deal, you cannot go back. all right? Even if payments are late, no extra charge accrues. So when the bank, sell finance through murabaha, and if the borrower or the customer or the client, for some reason, has delayed paying the installment, the bank cannot charge them extra, because if they charge extra, it's going to be riba. So sometimes, the banks are allowed to charge a very nominal late fee in order to discourage delays. Because if you know there is a late payment fee, it will discourage you to delay. But this payment, it cannot go into the profits of the bank. It is donated as a charity on your behalf. So the banks involved here in trading. So the banks become like traders, except they are not maintaining any stock. They buy the goods on demand, but they have to own the goods before they sell it to you. So actually the banks will, in the transaction process, the bank has to own it before they actually sell it to you. So this is murabaha. And just a very simple example to drive the idea to you is this is an example of murabaha for car finance. So for example, the cost of the car is 20,000, and if the markup the bank puts is, let's say, 20%, which is 4,000, the total cost to the buyer will be 24,000, and financing time, let's say 5 years, which is 60 months. So the monthly payment, it will be 24,000 divided by 60, which is 400 riyals. Now, what is the advantage of the buyer here? Because the buyer, if he had the money in cash, he would have saved this markup, this profit that the bank is making. But the fact that he doesn't have this money in cash, he wants to have this facility of being able to pay monthly. All right. And this is where the bank adds value, and for you, you get the benefit. Many of these murabaha are done very transparently, because many banks now, they will allow you to go and negotiate the best price of the car for yourself. So you make sure that you maximize your benefit. And you will eventually, if you agree this particular car, you will take a quotation from the seller of the car, and the bank will work on that quotation. All right. How much is the percentage markup? These are all calculated based on various factors, which are, part of the bank's strategies. And so this is murabaha. Instead of the car, we can remove the car. We can put anything there, whether it's furniture, whether you want to buy a mobile phone, expensive mobile phone, but you want it to pay in installment, you can have it murabaha or mobile phone, whether you want to change the furniture at home. All right. So there are a lot of personal things where you have the option of doing it without riba, where the Islamic bank can actually buy it for you, conduct it as a form of trade, and you can avoid riba. Okay, so we'll do one more. Okay, so we have 5 minutes, and we'll do Bay Salam, and then the rest, inshallah, will continue next week. So Bay Salam is a forward sale contract where full payment is made in advance for goods to be delivered at a future date. And primarily, Bay Salam is used in agricultural financing by allowing farmers actually to sell their crops before they are harvested and use the money that they receive in advance for cultivation of the crops. So the Prophet, he saw this in the farmers, they used to take these riba loans, and so he allowed them. Usually these could be poor people that they don't have resources, so he allowed them to sell their products, their crops, even before having them, and then they will deliver it later. So the quality, the quantity, and delivery date of the goods must be specified in detail at the time of the contract. These are part of the condition for this to be Sharia compliant. If you break these rules, then it becomes not Sharia compliant. So quality, quantity, delivery date must be agreed upfront, and the payment, for the buyer, they have to do it upfront. So Baysalam has been permitted, as I said, because it stabilizes fluctuating agricultural prices, it provides farmer with the upfront funds, and it gives security against market volatility. So the Prophet Muhammad, he saw maslaha, and that's why he allowed finance. So let's look at a scenario of, Baysalam. So the bank, buys, let's say, 100 tons of wheat from a wheat farmer at a cost, let's say, of 200 riyals per ton to be delivered in 6 months. Okay, so if the market price of wheat rises by the time of delivery, the bank actually will make profit because will be able to sell it at a higher price. And the opposite is also true. If the price goes down, then the bank has taken risk. So they will sell it at a lower price, and therefore they will be making loss. So the bank might already have a contract or an understanding with the buyers to sell the wheat at a higher price. Maybe, companies that are processing food like Matahin, Oman, or something like that. And also they could be sold because many of these products that are involved, agricultural products, are sold in the capital market through the brokers. All right, so this thing is organized. All right, so it's not like it's not like putting your hand in the darkness completely. So if the bank has an agreement to sell the wheat, let's say for 250 per ton, that will give the bank a profit of 50 riyals per ton. With 100 tons, so the bank will make 5,000 Omani riyal. So here, is a trade, is not, is not riba. So for those who need the wheat, they can approach the bank will buy for them. All right. So instead of borrowing money to finance your procurement of wheat, here you have the bank is doing the trade instead. All right. So I think we can stop here.